Folks, we're going to take a look at and explore the Monster Manual, Monsters Compendium 4 on D&D Beyond, featuring 25 creatures from the wilds of Eldraine card set that just came out from Magic the Gathering that they've converted into Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition on D&D Beyond. So give me a second here to check my signal, make sure we're up and running, and I'm going to just take a gander at this stuff for a little bit here. So mic check, 1, 2, 3. Gander at this stuff for a little bit. Yeah, it sounds like we're coming through okay there. And checking my mic volume, that's good. And if you follow me on Twitter, let's see, over here at Phil Kearney, I always post notifications that I've gone live, such as this. This is a little bit of a lower flying under the radar, so if you're catching this, you found out about it either by stream direct on YouTube or here on Twitter X. So I'm at Phil Kearney. Best way to support and grow the channel as an assist is to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. We're up to 212 subscribers now, looking at just D&D content and artwork that I produce. Thanks a lot for the support, guys. And so we want to get to, the dream would be to be 500 by New Year, which would be amazing because I'd be more than double my numbers in that time frame. So we'll see if that happens or not. So let's see. Just to take a quick look here, we have down here in the more, we have a link to the document that we're using online for my Patreon. If you click into Patreon here, it'll take you to the color comparison of Eldraine, which leads you to this Google Doc, which we have right here, Monsters Compendium 4. It doesn't cost anything to access this stuff or any of the general notes about stuff that I've been producing and ideas that I have here on Patreon. If you want to support, that's awesome. But otherwise, just stick around for the ride. So we've got the D&D Beyond document here that we've peeled open. I'm going to stretch this page out a bit. I've got about an hour to play today, so I've got a timer going. When last we were here, what we're doing here is we're taking a look at what effects and like energy types and immunities and actions are being granted to various creatures that are the 25 creatures that are listed here. We're then taking notes of what their strength is, their power and toughness is as magic cards, and seeing what CRs those translate into the number of hit points that they have. And then we're just taking some notes about different things that they're doing, like where things are lining up and where things are different from the color theories that we have used for the works that we have on the DMsGuild, which you can check out for free. If you go down, click on this link down below. Here's the color, mana, spell point, variant rules. And this here is a pay what you want document that it's copper status currently, pushing its way into silver. Thanks a lot for buying it, everyone. Revised color magic spell lists, where we break down basically a rough idea of how the 5 colors are expressed as different aspects of magic in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Like white magic generally is referring to like divinity, healing, light, protection, restraint, while green magic is like animals, also healing, plants, nature, and spirits, while black is control, entropy, fear, soul, darkness. So there's anyone that's familiar with the 5 color mana system on the MTG cards knows that there's interesting relationships between white and green around healing and prosperity, as well as between white and black around like spirituality, or as well as controlling and limiting like protection, or limiting the ability, like restraining things. Black is a lot of control, sacrifice, domination, while white is more restraint, control, and sacrifice. So it's fun dichotomies that I have in here that we can express with different spells. So we have a list of spells here. We have white, blue, black, red, green, and then we have all the spells that are in the player's handbook. If you wanted to, for anyone that's interested, if you wanted to pick up this bundle here, or the core mechanics book, it comes with this Excel document that has all the spells that are currently in the game, as well as each of the spells for Ravnica, Strixhaven. We break it down for Artificer, Bard, Monk for the elements, Shadows, Paladins. All the classes that you can have are broken down by what spells are currently available to them. Again, using the white, blue, black, red, green coding. And if you're interested about how the mana system works, you are welcome to check out the books. They have extensive free previews for people to take a look at. So we're going to look at all player handbooks, all spells, period, all spells. So as we go through this, we see how James Wyatt was the lead designer on this project, and he does a lot of work in MTG as well as Dungeons and Dragons. So he's probably the best authority inside of the company right now to speak to what is or isn't a specific color, for instance. So it's interesting to see how this thing plays out. So that's what we're doing. Going back into our I'm going to pluck this document off separately as we worked our way through. We've done Archon of Boundaries. We've done the Beanstalk Worm, Deathless Rider, and now we're going to move on. What font size am I using now? 17. So let's drop down to the Dunbarrow Witch and bump that up to size 17. And we'll see here that the Dunbarrow Witch is actually off of this Magic the Gathering card here, Conceited Witch. So let's open this image in a new tab. So when we build out this, when we take a look at what it is we have going on here, we're going to take a look at the actual, let's go down to Dunbarrow Witch. We're going to look at the stats for Dunbarrow Witch, and then we're going to look at the Conceited Witch, the card. And we're going to see how they compare to each other. Is there any interesting things that are being done here that are agreeable or contradictory to the ideas that we have about the general philosophies of color magic? And if there are any different discrepancies, we by default need to do kind of lean into James's wisdom about these things. And if we have to make adjustments for our update next year, then we will. So once 1D&D comes out, we're going to convert all of these books into the 6th edition system, so that all the class features and stuff that we have in these books remain legit and viable for what 1D&D is doing and what we've done with the color system. So we're going to come back and we're going to be making changes to this next year. So we're just doing some preliminary work to see where D&D's thought processes are going in the system and what we can do. So without any further ado, let's take a look at what the Dunbarrow Witch is. Taste the sweetness, breath for breath, keep the balance, death for death. Dunbarrow Witch incantations. Is that actually on the card? Well, it's an adventure card, so it doesn't have any real space for that sort of stuff. That's cool. She wasn't much for self-sacrifice. Nice. In the Misty Morrows of Dunbarrow, blah, blah, blah. Companion creatures. Interesting. Okay, so various creatures serve the Witches of Dunbarrow. It's not uncommon to see ravens and bats flitting through the canopy, or cats or otters scurrying through the undergrowth to deliver messages to allies or rivals across the marsh. Some witches animate bundles of sticks and roots to do their errands about the marsh for them, while others animate furniture, weapons, and other objects. Feel free to build encounters with witches that include additional creatures, such as animated armor, flying sword, rug smothering, or tiny beasts acting as a spy. Dunbarrow Witch, medium humanoid human, typically neutral evil, armor class 12. Let's go down to, where is your CR? CR5. So Dunbarrow, we have as a CR5. Cool, CR5. And the Conceited Witch in the cards, I'm going to put the card up here with her, is 2 regular mana and 1 black mana. Okay. So let's see, as a CR5 creature, and its power and toughness is 2/3. So let's look at what kind of hit points it has. For its toughness of 3, hit points is 72. So go back up here. Dunbarrow Witch. Damages. Let's see what kind of damage it deals to see if we can set the scale for power and toughness. Poison Dagger, hit 4, d4 plus 2 piercing plus 21 on poison damage. So it's going to average 25 there. What's his attack sequence? Multi-attack makes 2 poison dagger attacks. It can replace one of these attacks with spellcasting. Very nice. Spellcasting. The witch casts one of the following spells using charisma as a spellcast. This still has spell lists. That's interesting. Mage armor, prestidigitation, animal messenger, charm person, touches hideous laughter. Bestow curse and dispel magic. So that is interesting. 21 times 2, 25. Does roughly 50 damage per round if everything hits. 50 at 65% is going to be about 35 damage on average. That's how we'll scale it. So looking at here, and 2, 3. That's right. Two, 3, 4. Interesting. CR 15. Only averaging 40 damage. That doesn't feel right. Let's go back and look at the Archon again, just to make sure we have our heads screwed on straight with this stuff. Deathless Rider. Challenge. Actions. Multi-attack. 2 axe attacks. Axe attacks. 13. 26. Yeah, wow. That's really thin. For a CR5, this is an equal power as the Witch. Not seen it though. 2 axes, and if we replace one of these attacks with the Fell Glare. It's a frightened effect. Wow, that is a big difference in power. Okay, Deathless, so I assume I did that right. Dumbro Witch, let's see what else she's got going on. It's a black card. So let's see. Poison. Poison is black. That makes a lot of sense. And go back to our selection here, and you can see damage types. Poison we have listed as for black and green mana, or black and green magic as a general theme. So poison's on point there. Let's see. Polymorph concoction. The witch hurls a bottle of liquid at a point up to 20 feet away from itself, which shatters into a cloud of magical smoke. 10-foot area. Each creature in the area must succeed a dexterity saving throw. Wisdom saving throw, or transform into a creature as if under the effects of a polymorph spell. Transforming into one of the following harmless critters. Blah blah blah. Transformation lasts for 1 hour or until the creature has 0 hit points in its new form. Shattered, it only lasts an hour. Interesting. So if you drop the 0 hit points, you return to its normal form. So you wouldn't do that to squash them, because it would restore them to their normal form. But as a defenseless animal, it can be ignored and be left inert in the battlefield. So if you get transformed into one of these little hapless creatures, you're going to want to have an ally kill you as fast as possible, or jump into any AoE effects that you can find so you can get yourself snuffed and return to normal form. Shattered shards. The witch targets a point it can see within 30 feet of itself. The air there magically solidifies into a mirror-like pane, then shatters in a 15-foot cone originating from that point. Each creature in that area must make a dex save, taking 25 force damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful force save effect. White, blue, red. Force effect, polymorph. There's a blue-red effect. And force we have is white, red, blue. You are. keep looking at this guy. Spellcasting. Mage Armor. Prestidigitation doesn't require any mana to cast those spells, though they do have a color signature, of course. Prestidigitation, I believe, is generally a blue effect, while Mage Armor is a first level spell. Where did you go? Prestidigitation is a blue effect, and then Mage Armor, I believe, we have listed as white. Mage Armor, yep. Let's look at these spells. I want to look at the spell list and see. I think we have Polymorph as blue and red. 4th level spell. Blue and red. Yeah. What else you got? Animal Messenger, Charm Person. Tasha's. Bestow Curse. Should be green for Animal Messenger. Oh, I guess it's a 2nd level spell. My bad. Yeah, there you go. Charm Person, I believe, is blue and black. Blue, black, red. All right. DDR. Red because it changes their emotion. That's right. Tasha's Hideous Laughter should be a 2nd. Oh, is it 3rd? No. Can't be 1st level, isn't it? There you go. Thank you. You are. A lot of you are going on inside this black card. Bestow Curse. That's 3rd. It should be black. White and black. Nice. Spell Magic is white and blue, I believe. Definitely blue. White and blue. There you go. Shattered Shards, Polymorph, Dunbarrow Witch, Neutral Evil. Well, they're pulling a lot of Druid action out of this. They're basically defining witches as Druids. So let's see what the card does and see what it might offer us that we think is cool. So that's our basic shtick as a card, or as a creature. Here's what the card does. Okay, so adventures. This little portion here is an adventure. So the card is a creature card. So if you play the card, you spend this mana that brings this creature onto the battlefield, and it can do stuff. Menace. This creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So that menace effect. Menace equals, in this case, thank you, Timely Timer, 20-minute marker. Grab a sip of lunchtime coffee. So Menace. Menace is something that means that if this card is going to damage your opponent, it gets blocked by another creature, and the narrative there is that those 2 creatures are fighting to defend their they're summoners, which are the people that are actually playing. And menace is normally you can square off one creature against another, and then they hit each other, and if one can kill the other, then you remove that from the board. They could potentially kill each other and remove both of them from the board. If neither of them can deal enough damage from power to be like this 2/3, this creature can't kill itself. Its power 2 is less than its toughness of 3. So this creature is stronger, is more has more toughness than power. So it would require a creature facing it to be able to deal at least 3 damage to kill it. And then damage refreshes at the end of the round. The end of a round in a Magic card is basically like a long rest in D&D. You get all of your mana back, everything resets, and it's a new day to do things. So menace means that you can't, even if your creature is strong enough to kill this witch in one hit, you have to have at least 2 creatures to block it because the witch is terrifying, full of terror. So menace in this case is being translated as the polymorph creature effect above. But then it has a sorcery kicker. So adventure, sorcery, and that is called Price of Beauty. Hey, what's up? A sorcery card is just a general. It's like a magic. It's like a spell that you would cast in D&D. Sorcery is like an instant effect. Is going to be like a lot of flashbang action cards. There's differences between sorceries and instants. In the Magic the Gathering game, instants can be played during somebody else's turn, while sorceries can only be played during your turn. So that generally equates to action economy, as it's an action or a bonus action to cast whatever you're translating into. Versus a instant effect could be like a reaction, but that's not at all consistent. Like a lightning bolt in Magic the Gathering is an instant effect, which you could use during your opponent's turn, but it's an action. A lightning bolt is a spell that requires an action to cast in Dungeons and Dragons. So those two things don't necessarily line up, but it generally gives us an idea about like how powerful something is. If it's an instant spell, it's going to be a lot more powerful, and it's also going to be like it's supposed to be like a reactionary, something you're doing in response to what someone else is doing. So if you're seeing reaction type stuff, we're generally going to want to have a higher cost to do it, as opposed to a sorcery, which is something that they're going to have to spend their own normal action economy to perform themselves. So what does the Price of Beauty do? Create a wicked roll token attached to the target creature you target creature you control. The next out of this card, and then you can play it again later as a creature. So once you use the sorcery, you can't use the sorcery again, and you can instead just use this as a creature card. You can basically use it again. So this is going to create a wicked roll token. So let's look up what a MTG wicked roll token. A wicked roll token is a colorless aura roll enchantment token named Wicked with enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and when this aura is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is a damaging effect. I think probably the best way we can translate that Wicked card, for lack of other details here in the Eldraine expansion, is probably being expressed by Shattered Shards. The witch targets a point it can see within 30 feet of itself. The air then magically solidifies into a mirror-like pane that shatters in a 15-foot cone originating from that point. Each creature in that area must make a dexterity saving throw or take force damage and half for save. So if we're looking at the card, yeah, it looks like it's projecting an illusion of itself being, more beautiful than it actually is. That's probably where the mirror effect is coming from. That's an interesting take. So we have. So what does a Price of Beauty create a wicked token? Is that what it is? Double checking. A wicked roll token. Thank you. A wicked roll token equals +1. +1, and when the affected creature dies, it deals 1 damage to everybody, each opponent. This order is put into the graveyard, and the effect ends. Deal damage to opponent. +1 toughness, +1 power. So that would, like, for example, that would turn this. If you gave yourself that roll, that would make this creature a 3/4 instead of a 2/3. And it has menace, so it takes even more firepower to bring it down. Toughy. And when that aura goes away, it just automatically deals direct damage to the player. Nothing can stop it, unless you have something that can, like, disable that effect, like a countering effect of some sort. So, let's see. How would we translate creating a wicked token? We're thinking might be the what is it? Shattered Pain? Is that what it was called? Shattered Shards. Might be the Shattered Shards effect. Dealing 25 force damage. Save for half. 25 damage. So far, we have things dealing 25 damage. Is going to be like a 2/2 or a 3, like a 2 or 3 toughness. 2 or 3 power is what the numbers are translating to from the CR. So I'm not necessarily seeing a pattern there for the 25, unless it's half damage that they're assuming. In which case, it'll only be 12, which is probably where we're going to end up down here in the 1/1s. We're going to see Ginger Brute down here, which is like a 1/4 CR creature. It's probably going to do like 6 damage, but it could also range all the way up to, like, we have a CR5, and a Dumbarrow Witch here is a CR5 creature. So CR5 is a 2/2 off the bat. We have a CR15 showing it as a 4/4 and 18 for a 5/5. So we've seen things like Craterhoof and stuff like that has a pumpable effect, that the more force that you have control over, the more powerful the Craterhoof gets. But I don't think it doesn't feel like we're gonna find a direct comparison in scaling of damage to the power and toughness that cards have. I just don't think that, because if they're using a narrative approach of, like, putting the Witch in there as a 2/2 as a CR5, if it really is low scale 2/2, like a soldier card or something like that, it'd be more like 20 hit points at most. But it's a 2/3, so it's got 72 hit points, which is a decent hitting thing for a CR5. That's pretty fair, and averaging around 35 damage per round as a CR5 creature. A 5th level rogue is going to have about 35 hit points. So this chick can drop a 5th level rogue if she can get her mitts on him. So I'm not seeing a lot of correlation between the two of these, but this is what we're doing. We're looking to see how things look, what we fetch out of here, what we think is cool looking. Card token, create a wicked token. I'm fine with that. Generally, if I'm doing if I want to do like a +1/+1, I might think about toughness equals temporary hit points. Or increased armor class, and plus power is going to either be equal to advantage or to hit, or bonus damage on success. That's generally what we're looking at pluses of power on. We'll have to come back and see if there's any. Let's look at the Fairy Borrower. Push that up. Interesting. It's interesting that they're basically giving it. It's more of a. It. I like the set. It feels more like a warlock druid sort of feeling. I like the idea of like a witch as a class. Witch as a class, subclass equals warlock, druid space. Talking about blue, black, red, green seems to be the general spiel. Golgari is black, green, core. Just making some Swift notes there. Like if I were to create a witch subclass and using this as a theme, then warlock like Golgari black green with like either some blue or red spilled into it makes a lot of sense, honestly. So I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to go to the Brazen Borrower. So let's check out what and they call it a fairy borrower. So let's see. Fairy borrower. There you go. The Brazen Borrower that we can see there on the card. They had said in the D&D YouTube video that the inspiration for these creature types was created from the card art that they're looking at. We're looking at Fairy Borrower, which is obviously the Brazen Borrower. So a Brazen Borrower is a 3-mana creature, requires 2 blue and 1 other mana of any sort. Meanwhile, the Fairy Borrower here is a CR 1/2. 12 hit points. It's a 1/1 creature. We were just talking about that. So 1/1 creature. Oh, it's a 3/1 creature. That's freaking crazy. Okay, well, let's see how that shit shakes out. It's got 12 hit points. So let's scroll back up here to the top. X 12. See, that's what I'd expect out of a 1/1. But it's 3x. So what kind of damage you deal, buddy? No opportunity to attack when he flies by. Action, Needle Blade, single attack, +7 to hit. Hit damage is average of 7, 65% chance of hitting. Drops it down to 5 damage. Magic Mockery. The Harry Furl's magical taunts. That's fun. Okay, so let's start deconstructing this thing. Flyby attack equals blue because flying and water are generally blue activities. So looking at blue, I need to get rid of that. Good. Fairy Borrower. Flyby attack, blue. That makes sense. Needle Blade. Sure, that's melee. Melee's anything. Piercing, sure. Magic Mockery. The fairy hurls magical taunts at one creature. You can see within 60 feet of itself. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take some psychic damage and have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the start of the fairy's next turn. Magic Mockery equals save or psychic damage plus this on attack and ability checks till start of fairy's next turn. Equals, that's very blue. Psychic damage is generally blue. Let's go look at our... Let's go back up here into psychic damage, blue and black. White, blue, black. So that's cool. Very blue. And a curse effect. Disadvantage to attacks and ability checks. That's also very cursey. Let's go down to curse. Bestow curse. White and black. There you go. Let's see, what other things do we have that impose disadvantage? Compelled duel. Is another good example. I think that's a first level spell. Compelled duel, yeah. Black and red. So that works out the disadvantage on ability checks to bestow curse. So it's got a black bend to it. Let's look at the rest of this. Let's look at the rest of its kit. Prestidigitation we know is blue. Silent image is also going to be blue because it is illusion magic. So silent image. Oh, is that a cantrip? Nope, it's a first level. Blue. There you go. Spells. Also blue. What else you got going on? Reaction, Tricksy Parry. Immediately after taking damage, the fairy reduces the damage taken by 2. That's basically a Battle Master maneuver. Boop, boop. I believe that's just a straight parry effect from the Battle Master. And the way we have our martial, I actually developed the martial power system on Tuesday, and the way that we have that system built is that you can have any of the powers or maneuvers be any color that you want, but you have to define what your color palette is, and then have things be put into them. So you could easily have a parry effect that could be black, it could be green, it could be red. It's up to you to decide what the narrative is. You're just setting limits on what kind of mana you have access to. And you can take a look at that tomorrow when you show up if you guys are interested in swinging by. So let's see. How are we doing? We got about 15 minutes left. Yeah. We got about 15 minutes left. So let's see what the Brazen Borrower offers. It's only a CR1. CR, what, a quarter? Yeah, CR1 half. So it's not sporting a lot, but it's got a lot of mana. 3 mana is no joke for a creature. So this one, let's look at the Brazen Borrower effect. This is another adventure card. So this has an instant effect as opposed to a sorcery, so you can do this stuff during someone else's turn. And it's a creature card as well, so it can do this instant petty theft once, and then after that you can just play out the card as normal, and you can't do this again. Return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. An opponent owns. So you can basically force them to make something disappear from their deck. A creature goes away, an enchantment effect goes away, an artifact that they're using with their creatures goes away. Petty theft, appropriate title. Let's go with card conversion. Petty theft is a 1 blue effect equals Return target permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. That would mean, so when you summon things, it means that you're recruiting creatures to come on board with you. You take them from your hand, you pay the mana, and then you put them on the board. The narrative effect of that is I'm using my magics to summon this creature to come and aid me in my battle. If I am going to return that card to your hand, it hasn't been lost, it just isn't available to attack, as though it's been, well, in this instance, the narrative is stolen, assuming like you'd be stealing an aura or stealing an artifact. You don't get to use it with the system that we have here. That'd be a very different effect, a very expensive effect to take cards from your character, from your opponent, and use them against them. But in a D&D narrative, anything you steal, you can use. So the narrative doesn't quite line up there. But this is more of like a distracting effect. So petty theft, 1 blue equals for a 1/2 CR. If it was like a 14 CR creature, then it'd be like, yeah, you're gonna get permanently banished, you know, or like you're gonna get like the hurl through hell effect from a warlock. But we're looking at the sense of scale as this only being a 1/2 CR creature, so it's not like it can just lay on ridiculous amounts of damage. Trixie, Battle Master equals reduce equals reaction. Petty theft would be like it's an instant effect, right? So it's not an action. It would either be a reaction or possibly a bonus action or even a free action, like an exploit of sorts. So petty theft, I'd say as a bonus action, once per round. Target is at disadvantage, is at dis to attack. Let's go with int save equals no reactions until Fairy's next. Until Fairy's turn. Until end. What else you got? Flash, flying. Brazen Borrower can block only creatures with flying. Can block only creatures with flying. So Brazen Borrower can't interact with things on the ground. It is flying. It is perpetually flying. It has wings. It has flash, which means that it can come in during an enemy's turn, sort of like as a surprise response to something attempting to attack. It has flying. So, flying equals blue. Flying always equals blue in Magic the Gathering. Flash equals flash effect equals blue. It comes in during an opponent's turn. It's an interaction, and the can't block can't block creatures without flying. That I don't think that really translates directly into D&D per se, but the flash effect is interesting. I haven't really contemplated a flash before. It's like an it comes into effect when someone is doing something. You can trigger it at any time, so it feels like a reaction because it's literally a reaction as an instant effect. But it's more about acting like appearing out of nowhere, which is like dropping it. Fairies are notoriously invisible, so being able to drop, having a flash effect, that means like you can stealth. Flash effect, it's kind of like maybe stealth, initiative bonus. Both of those make sense. Let's do it like this. If the fairy is invisible, to all targets that have a lower initiative than the creature. To all targets that have a lower initiative. They just can't see it yet. So it flashes into existence when it takes its initiative. I think that makes sense. Thinking that through, you roll an initiative. Yes, because then it would be able to maneuver itself in the position. You wouldn't be able to see it, but people that are acting faster than it saw it before it was able to blink out. I like that. So I think we can potentially once per encounter. Once per round. Yeah, I'm down with that stuff. That's pretty cool. Okay. I'm happy with that. Let's go with our Fairy Pathlighter. We only have a few minutes left, so let's... 17. There. How are we doing on time? About 50 minutes. Yeah, this is just a lunchtime thing. I think I'm done for now. So Mondays or whenever I have some time, I'm just going to squeeze in. We're doing a couple of these things. There's 25 of them in total. There's no hard rules that we're building here. We're just making observations and taking a look at how these things operate, how the cards work, how are we translating the cards into D&D, and what cool stuff can we glean from this and potentially pilfer for ourselves, for us to borrow, to create new ideas moving forward. So pretty casual. That's all we're doing for now. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out here, and I'm going to be back tomorrow working on the martial power system, where we're taking 140 different spell-like instant or reaction effects and concentration things that are not spells that fighters, barbarians, warlocks, monks, artificers, rangers, paladins, and barbarians can use to have a list of things that they can do, similar to how spellcasters have a list of things to do that people can opt into for use. And you can use a color mana system on top of it, so that all 13 classes can have the same color mana system that we've presented in the selection of books that we have here. These are all extensive previews. Like this is a 75 page book here. Where does it say? Publisher, DMsGuild. Oh, that's a bundle. If we click into the core mechanics here, for instance. This is nearly a gold title seller. It's a 75-page book, right? So you look at the full preview, and bam, 75 pages as well. So when we go through the system, it has rules for the type of how much mana you can accumulate, and it's specifically focused on spellcasters and half-casters. But once we finish with the martial power system, we'll have the same mana language expressed for all 13 classes. So you'll be able to freely multi-class between these classes and either building up spell power, martial powers, or alternate class abilities that we can continue to build out, either on my Patreon or on DMsGuild release, just depending on what D&D does. Whatever Wizards ends up doing with one D&D. We're going to take all these books, we're going to convert them into one D&D for reference, so that if you like one D&D, you can continue using these things. And these original 5th edition versions will still exist, but we'll be updating all of it, including Strixhaven, Theros, and Ravnica, all the new tech that we've been accumulating over the past 4 years that I've been playtesting these things in my own home table. I have new tricks to show you, and we'll be able to build it all out and also modernize the layout so it matches more closely with the aesthetic that I use these days. So that's it for now, guys. Anyone else showing up and checking this stuff out, thanks a lot for being around. I'm here 6 days a week. Normally in the morning I'm doing artwork, but I do mechanical design and analysis, stuff like this in the afternoons and the evenings. So like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get more notifications of where and when I'm at. And we'll be back tomorrow for Martial Power. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks a lot.